Delighted to say now that we're joined by one of Gordon Elliott's biggest owners, Cheveley Park Stud, and their director, Richard Thompson, who's on the phone now. Richard, thanks so much for coming on the programme. Just tell us how things have developed from your operations perspective. Have any decisions been made as to this stage what to do with the horses?
Yes, Gina, morning. Hi. Yeah, we've made a decision actually this morning, in the last couple of hours actually, to move the horses from Gordon's yard. So yeah, that's been made.
And logistically, how will this work, and where are the horses going? How many horses do you have there as well?
We have 8, and they'll go between Henry de Bromhead and Willie Mullins, and that'll be organised by the Chris Richardson and the team. Logistics will obviously in place. Well, right now, we're organising it right now.
Yeah, and we know obviously you've got hugely high-profile horses there. Has decisions been made who's going where in terms of which horses?
Well, the big horse, Envoi Allen, he'll go to Henry de Bromhead.
Sir Gerhard, Quilixios as well?
Sir Gerhard will go to Willie, and Quilixios will go to Henry.
And how much of a difficulty and a concern does this present to the operation in terms of moving horses this close to their big targets at Cheltenham?
That's a very good question. Look, I think hopefully with trainers like Henry and Willie, and with the Cheveley team headed by Chris, that we've got real professionals on the job to be able to hopefully resolve this very quickly, and it should be very smooth. That's what I'm hoping for, or we're hoping for. But I've got no reason to doubt it. It'll be a big problem, but yeah, it's just very unfortunate timing, obviously, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Cheveley Park have already issued a statement off the back of the weekend to say, as everyone else has been shocked and saddened by the image. But what were the motivating factors for you in taking this next step? How did you reach the decision?
I think, look, we had to consider what was happening yesterday with the sort of building story and the backdrop that Cheveley's reputation in terms of, probably, the most maybe important British-owned racing and breeding operation in the UK. And the fact that this reputation has been built up, we've got various breeders, and many people support us. And we had to look at the situation in context of where Cheveley sit in the industry and our responsibility to the industry in the UK, in Britain. So I think we just had to take that decision that we had to do the right thing by Cheveley Park Stud. Is
this a long-term plan, Richard, or is it something that might be revisited and reconsidered as the IHRB make their judgment?
I think for the time being we're moving the horses, and obviously that's it. Obviously, Gordon is terrible time for him, but obviously he's made a terrible error of judgment, which he admits. And I explained to him we had to do the right thing by Cheveley Park and by our standing in the industry and what people expect of us. So I'm not going to make a comment about the long term, but certainly, obviously, in the short to medium term, we're certainly these horses will stay with Henry and Willie. And as you know, it's been a fast-moving story the last day or two, and it's been fast moving for us in terms of trying to understand what becoming very aware of how big a story it was happening obviously only during the course of yesterday.
Yeah, and you've been involved in the industry and hugely experienced for years now through the interests of your family. Have you been shocked or surprised by the reaction that this has had? What do you think the implications are for horse racing as a sport, if you like?
Well, obviously, it's a massive. It's a hell of a story, isn't it? And it's very disappointing and extremely upsetting for obviously the industry. Obviously people love horses, and we've been in, as you say, we as a family purchased this Cheveley Park in 1975, so we've been in racing and breeding for 46 years. So I can't remember anything like this in recent years at all, and we've been in, as I said, a long time. So I don't know what the implications are longer term. I'm not close enough to the centre of the politics of horse racing and how it works between Britain and Ireland and how these relationships work. But all I know is that with my Cheveley Park Stud hat on, we had to take a decision as a board of directors to disassociate ourselves with Gordon at this time and do the right thing by the stud and by the industry.
And obviously, you know the trainers, Willie and Henry de Bromhead, very well through the exploits of your other horses.
Yes.
How's Envoi Allen? Have the horses already gone and settled in? How is he? What's the latest on him, Richard?
Well, the decision was only made probably about this morning, so probably first thing this morning. So, as I say, I've been the logistics are being handled between Chris and the Cheveley Park team and the Henry and Willie. So I haven't got the answer to that. I mean, I know all the horses have been in very good form at Gordon, very in a very good bit of health. I think they've all been in good form, obviously recently, and the four that we have. That were running for Gordon for us will obviously all go to Cheltenham, in 2 weeks' time. So, as far as I'm concerned, they're all in good shape, but I haven't got the latest yet.
And Richard, have you got the list in front of you of where all 8 are going? Envoi Allen's obviously Henry, as you've confirmed, and you've spoken about the other 2. It might be worth just reading them off for us if you can, because I know there'll be a lot of people interested. Well,
we got the. We've got the Sir Gerhard, as you say, Willie, Ballyadam, Henry, Envoi Henry, Malone Road Henry, Classic Getter. The 3 new purchases, and I think 2 of those are going to Willie, I believe, and 1 to Henry. They're the 3 that were bought in December. Quilixios, Henry. So the 4 at Cheltenham, 3 are going to Henry and 1 to Willie.
Yeah. Perfect. And what about, it's probably too early to know, I'm sure, but jockey implications with this in mind? Does anything change on that front?
Look, jockey implications, I think, Envoi Allen has had, as we know, David Russell and obviously recently Jack Kennedy. And I personally would like to stick to the continuity on retaining, Davey or Jack, obviously depending on injuries, etc. But that would be something that with Envoi in particular that we'd want to stick to the previous relationships.
Richard, thank you so much for your time this morning and for clarifying that. And despite what is a very distressing situation to deal with, no doubt, we wish you the best of luck with those horses and their future endeavours.
No, thanks, Gina. Thanks so much indeed.